Hello and good morning. I hope that you are doing well today. Today's study that I'm bringing to you is on pigs. And you say, okay, why pigs? It is a highly debated topic among people and among the Christian community. And so anyways, I just want to share with you some scripture, some research that I've done. And it's by no means a complete study, but in the things that I have searched, I just want to share my studies with you so that you can take what I'm sharing with you and study it for yourself and pray about it and see if that's the same thing that you come to, or maybe, something else is revealed to you. And I am in no means or by no means a teacher or trying to be a minister or anything like that. I am a servant of my master, and I am just trying to pass along what I have studied of his word. So today our Hebrew word is going to be hasir. It's spelled like chazir, but it's pronounced hasir. And from right to left, it is chet, zion, yod, resh. And that is the Hebrew word for our English word, swine or pig. All right, so what is the definition of a pig? Omnivorous, domesticated, hoofed mammal, a greedy, dirty, unpleasant person, or to gorge oneself with food. All right, so I'm going to get started with scripture first. We're going to go through that and then get to some other things. And just stick with me. This is like I said, one of the longer studies that I've done, but I hope that it will help you. And I'm going to give you the scripture so that you can go back and read it for yourself. Leviticus chapter 11, verse 7. And the pig, though it has a split hoof, completely divided, yet does not chew the cud, it is unclean to you. Their flesh you do not eat, and their carcasses you do not touch. They are unclean to you. So the Hittites sacrificed pigs and dogs to Hifnik, which was a god of the underworld. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Devarim, which is Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 8. And the pig is unclean for you, because it has a split hoof, but does not chew the cud. You do not eat their flesh, nor touch their dead carcasses. Tehillim, Psalm chapter 80, verse 13, a psalm of Asaph. The boar out of the forest ravages it, and the wild beast of the field devours it. Yeshayahu chapter 66, verse 3, Isaiah 66. Whoever slaughters the bull slays a man. Whoever slaughters the lamb breaks the dog's neck. Whoever brings a grain offering, pig's blood. Whoever burns incense, Barak, blesses an idol. Indeed, they have chosen their ways, and their being delights in their abominations. Verse 17, I didn't have that one written down, so if you give me just a second. Those who Kodesh themselves and cleanse themselves at the gardens after one in the mist, eating flesh of pigs and the abomination and the mouse, come to an end all together, declares Yahuwah. Mishlei, Proverbs chapter 11, verse 22. Like a ring of gold in a pig's snout is a lovely woman who lacks good sense. So in the land of Canaan or Canaan, the pig was used for cultic purposes. So that's like a representation of that. Matith Yahu, Matthew chapter 7, verse 16. Do not give what is Kodesh, holy, to the dogs, nor throw your pearls before the pigs, lest they trample them under their feet and turn and tear you into pieces. Matith Yahu, Matthew chapter 8, verse 28 through 32. And when he, Yeshua, came to the other side, to the country of the Girgashites, 2 demon-possessed ones met him, coming out of the tombs very fierce, so that no one was able to pass that way. And see, they cried out, saying, What have we to do with you, Yeshua, being of Elohim, which is son of God? Have you come here to torture us before the appointed time? And at a distance from there was a herd of many pigs feeding. And the demons begged him, saying, "If you cast us out, send us into the herd of pigs." And he said to them, "Go." And they, coming out, went into the herd of pigs. And see, the entire herd of pigs rushed down the steep place into the sea and died in the water. Marcos, which is Mark, chapter 5, verse 11, 12, and 16. Now a great herd of pigs was there, feeding near the mountains. And this is Mark's account of that same incident that we just read in Matthew. And the demons begged him, saying, "Send us to the pigs, so that we enter into them." And he gave them permission. And the unclean spirits came out and entered into the pigs. They were about 2,000, and the herd rushed down the steep place into the sea, and drowned in the sea. And those who fed the pigs fled, and reported it in the city and in the country. And they went out to see what had taken place. So they came to Yeshua, and saw the demon-possessed one, him who had the legion, sitting and dressed and in his right mind. And they were afraid. And those who saw it related to them what was done to the demon-possessed one, and about the pigs. Pork was a staple of the Roman diet. Both Greeks and Romans used pigs for animal sacrifices. I wrote down the scripture, but I didn't write it out because it's kind of a long one, but a reference for you to go check out is Lucas, which is Luke chapter 15, verse 15 through 31. And that's where it's using the story of the prodigal son, where he had the inheritance, but instead of using it wisely, as I guess I could say, he decided that he wanted to go leave and just party it off or whatever, and ended up having to lower himself to eat in like the pig slop or the pods from the pigs. So you read that. Next is Kepha, 2 Peter 2:22. For them the proverb has proved true. A dog returns to his own vomit, and a washed sow to her rolling in the mud. So false prophets and teachers. Noah and his family, when we think about on the ark, Sodom and Gomorrah, which is Sodom and Gomorrah, as we know. Hassan, Revelation, chapter 18, verse 2. Another messenger coming from the Shemayim, having a great authority, and the earth was lightened from his esteem. And he cried with a mighty voice, saying, Babel, the great, is fallen, and has become a dwelling place of demons, a haunt for every unclean spirit, and a haunt for every unclean and hated bird. Maccabees 2, chapter 6, verse 18 through 31. This is one of the Apocrypha books. Eliezer, one of the scribes in the high position, a man now advanced in age and of noble presence, was being forced to open his mouth to eat swine's flesh. But he, welcoming death with honor, rather than life with pollution, went up to the rack of his own accord, spitting out the flesh, as men ought to go, who have the courage to refuse things that it is not right to taste, even for the natural love of life. Those who were in charge of that unlawful sacrifice took the man aside because of their long acquaintance with him, and privately urged him to bring meat of his own, providing proper for him to use, and pretend that he was eating the flesh of the sacrificial meat, which he had been commanded by the king, so that by doing this he might be saved from death, and be treated kindly on account of his old friendship with them. But making a high resolve worthy of his years and the dignity of his old age, and the gray hairs which he had reached with distinction, and his excellent life even from childhood, and moreover according to the Kodesh Yahuwah given law, he declared himself quickly, telling them to send him to Hades. Such pretense is not worthy of our time of life, he said, lest many of the young should suppose that Eliezer in his 19th year has gone over to an alien religion. And through my pretense, for the sake of a living brief moment longer, they should be led astray because of me, while I defile and disgrace my old age. For even if for the present I should avoid the punishment of men, yet whether I live or die, I shall not escape the hands of the Almighty. Therefore, by manfully giving up my life now, I will show myself worthy of my old age, and leave to the young a noble example of how to die a good death, willingly and nobly, for the revered and Kodesh laws. When he had said this, he went and at once to the rack, and those who a little before had acted toward him with good will now changed to ill will, because the words he had uttered were in their opinion sheer madness. When he was about to die under the blows, he groaned aloud and said, "It is clear to Yahweh and his Kodesh knowledge that though I might have been saved from death, I am enduring terrible sufferings in my body under this beating. But in my soul, I am glad to suffer these things because I fear him." So in this way he died, leaving in his death an example of nobility and a memorial of courage, not only to the young, but to the great body of his nation. Yahweh wants to keep his chosen people partitioned from the countries surrounding them. The directions help to separate and to keep Kodesh, the people of Israel. Malachi chapter 3, verse 6 through 7. For I am Yahweh, I shall not change, and you, O sons of Jacob, shall not come to an end. From the days of your fathers you have turned aside my laws and did not guard them. Turn back to me, and I shall turn back to you, say Yahweh of hosts. But you said, in what shall we turn back? Maaseh, which is Acts chapter 10, verse 16. Cornelius saw a clear vision about the 9th hour of the day. A messenger of Elohim came to him, telling him his kind deeds and prayers have come up to a remembrance before Elohim, and instructed to send 2 men to Jaffa to get Peter, Kepha. On the next day, as they were on their way to the city, Kepha, Peter, went upon the housetop to pray about the 6th hour. When he became hungry, while they were preparing, he fell into a trance. And then I put here to read verses 11 through 17. His vision isn't about eating unclean animals. It's about him being a Yehudi, not associating with or going to one of another race. Elohim showed Kepha he should not call any man common or unclean. Kepha went to the house of the centurion to disciple or minister to him, which indicates the renewed covenant is about associating with Gentiles and not eating unclean food. Romaim chapter 14, which is Romans, verse 14 through 15. I know and I am persuaded in the Adon, Yeshua, that naught is common of itself, but to him who regards whatever to be common, to him it is common. And if your brother is grieved because of your food, you are no longer walking in love. Do not by your food ruin the one for whom Mashiach, Messiah, died. So common, which is quinos, refers to the ceremonial uncleanliness of an animal. In other scriptures, the word akathartos is used. Animals scriptures specify as unclean. Paul is speaking about ceremonially unclean, and is speaking about clean animals being offered to false idols, not of an unclean meat such as pork. This mistranslation could be one of the reasons as why so many Christians believe pork to be clean. Timotheus, 1 Timothy chapter 4. Shaul, which is Paul, speaks in the first verse that in the latter times some will depart from the faith and heed to deceiving spirits that forbid eating of animals that Yahweh has ordained to be clean. Shaul exhorts Timothy to push himself toward godliness. So we should follow the dietary laws given to us in Leviticus 11. The renewed covenant does not conflict or change the instruction laid out in the first covenant, but clarifies and exemplifies it. In September of 2002, Michigan State University issued of the pork industry handbook speaks about Mycoplasma pneumonia, and it's present in 95% of all commercial swine herds. When 95% have pneumonia, they would be using antibiotics to make their pigs healthy. In 2014, the FDA made a move to limit the use of antibiotics in livestock due to transference to humans and creation of superbugs like MRSA. So a significant portion of pigs have pneumonia and are given antibiotics to counteract sickness, which can make the entities that ingest the pork more susceptible to bacterial infections based on how antibiotics work. Tuberculosis was able to be reduced in cattle and chickens, but not in pigs. So, a few facts and some research that I've done. Pigs carry diseases. 10 measures of plagues descended to the world. Pigs took 9 of them. Such diseases are easily transmittable to humans, like the flu and other viruses. They spread filth. They wallow in the muck. They eat revolting things. They are a symbol of hypocrisy. It pretends to be a kosher animal. The pig sticks out its hooves when it is resting as if it is kosher. So as did the Romans put on a show of justice to mask their corruption. It is a master of deception. It puts out its hooves to make you think it is kosher. Reiterate that. In the Middle Ages, the pig continued to serve as a symbol of Daniel's fourth and final kingdom. Christendom, with its seat in Rome, was an extension of the unrevealed cruelty of Roman dominion. At the same time, it was in the German lands of the Holy Roman Empire that the pig, as a symbol, was thrown back at the Jews in the form of an obscene anti-Jewish motif. From the 13th to 16th century, Christian iconography adorned churches and public buildings with the scatological representation of Jews sucking at the teats of a sow in 1543. It was called the Judensaal, which is the Jews' sow. It made Jews less than human, accomplices of the devil and masters of black magic. So from reviling the pig because it was sacrificed to the gods of the underworld to reviling Jews for their demonic otherness, which is rooted in their worship of the pig. You know that saying, you are what you eat, or you are what you consume? So it's thinking about like the attributes of a pig and what you think, going back to the definition in the beginning, and what you're putting in your body, right? What we're putting in our body is a representation of how that animal acts. And I know, I grew up eating bacon and sausage and pork chops and all that stuff, right? I'm not saying that I've never eaten those things. Yeah, and I understand. Bacon is really good, right? But guess what? So is sin. And neither one of them are good for you, right? All right, so medically, and a few other notes here besides medical, but some things that I researched. Pig medicine. Okay, so medicines that are made with pig. We have heparin, which is a blood thinner. Enoxaparin, Leviticus is a blood thinner. Desiccated thyroid, hormone therapy used to treat hypothyroidism. Pancreolips, creon and viocase is an enzyme used to treat pancreatic insufficiency. From pig blood. Now, I don't know about other countries, but America uses a pig, every part of the pig, like every part of the pig for something, okay? From pig blood are made medicines, sticking agents, plywood adhesive, leather treating agent, protein source in feeds, fabric printing, and dyeing. From pig hair, artist brushes, insulation, upholstery. From the brain, cholesterol and other medicines. From the internal organs, insulin, meds, surgical sutures, heart valves, gloves, shoes, pigskin garments. From bones, glue, buttons, bone china, bone meal, minerals for feed, fertilizer, porcelain, enamel, glass, water filters. from meat scraps, commercial feeds, pet food, from fatty acids and glycerin, insecticides, weed killers, lubricants, oil polishes, rubber, cosmetics, antifreeze, nitroglycerin, plastics, plasticizers, printing rollers, cellophane, floor waxes, cement, waterproofing agents, fiber softeners, crayons, chalk, phonographic records, matches, putty, insulation, linoleum. Everything. It's in everything. You can't escape it. Pigs will eat people. Sometimes they eat their own piglets. They eat bones and teeth from any other animal. They will eat any poop. They function like trash cans. They have intestinal parasites. Is artery clogging? We have to think about cholesterol and saturated fat, heart disease, diabetes, arthritis, osteoporosis, Alzheimer's, asthma, impotence. By producing foods to eat, causing the problems, in turn making the drugs that the doctor prescribes for us to take have the same ingredients in them. Insulin. The pig pancreas is an organ from which insulin is obtained. ACTH, or hormone used in human meds for treatment, arthritis and inflammatory diseases. A pig's pituitary gland. Gelatin for capsules and pills. Cortisone, norepinephrine, plasmin, blood fibrin, estrogen, relaxin, insulin, pepsin, oxytocin. Heart valves, footballs, gelatin, burn dressings, matchings, crayons. I know I've mentioned some of this. I'm just going back through it. Defibrotide is a complex mixture of short DNA fragments purified from the cells of pig intestines. Again, we have water filters, insulation, rubber, antifreeze, certain plastics, floor waxes, chalk, adhesives, fertilizer. Lard is fat from pig abdomens. Shaving cream, soap, makeup, baked goods, toothpaste, chewing gum is obtained from a pig's stomach. China is the world's largest pork producer. We also have heparin, enoxaparin, chocolate bars, certain ice creams, marshmallows, puddings, jello. It's a thickening agent. Altoids, pork gelatin, fruit snacks, gummy candies, circus peanuts, candy corn, frosted mini wheats, beer, wine, juices, Rice Krispie treats. Pigs contain the meningel virus, hepatitis E, Nipah virus, Tyanosolium tapeworm, PRRS. Pigs partially chew their food before swallowing. They can digest and metabolize their food in one stomach in 4 hours. Harmful toxins are accumulated in fat cells and organs. They don't sweat, which is a detoxification method, so in turn, there is buildup of pathogenic microorganisms and virotoxins in their systems. So, what I get from all of this, if you think about it in the sense too, is those higher ups, right? Those elites. We are pigs to them. We eat whatever garbage they give us, right? We just eat it up. And anyway, so I hope that you got something from this study. You know, go back and look through the scriptures. Like I said, there's probably even more to that than what I've presented to you. But that's just a look at why our Father tells us that that is an abomination, and to stay away from that. It's not just representing the physical eating of it, but how our attitudes and our actions and how we are truly in our hearts. So I pray that you understand this and that it helps you, and enjoy the rest of your day. Shalom.